One thing that I've always done habitually, like since I can remember, is draw. I've drawn every single day since I was a little kid, since I basically could draw. There's a lot of early influences. My dad has a huge collection of comic books, and so I was surrounded by that type of art like growing up, and like I would just read them all the way through constantly. I've always loved graffiti, like since I was a little kid. I remember seeing it. So I totally am a nerd, like through and through. Like I love art history, like old dusty art history a lot. So I like to kind of adapt these old master styles into a black heroic framework when I can. And then also layer on top of that these like graffiti and comic book influences. So the style that I try and create is one that has all of those stories inside of it. I think that overarchingly, especially outside this town, the impression of graffiti and the impression of street art is changing a lot. So I think it's kind of turned the corner from being seen as purely criminal to being seen as something that's more of a legitimate art form, which is pretty exciting. Generally, I like to take all these influences that are in my head and just kind of like throw them up onto the wall, or throw them down to the canvas, or throw them onto the paper, and go directly from there, because that allows me to build much more naturally and much more quickly. I always want to use as many tools as I need to get the effect that I want, and I always like to learn how to draw with new tools, and so I'm trying to pull in as many forms of media into one surface as I can, just because it helps me stay engaged in the work. If I can do that all on one surface, that's what I love to do the most. The work that's around town is really interesting for me personally, because a lot of it was me learning how to do this. It's stuff that partially reflects this like childhood that I had growing up in Urbana. It's cool to have been able to contribute that to this city, because this city like gave a lot back to me in terms of like letting me grow and develop and be an artist. And being in the same community that I grew up in gave me a lot of access to opportunities that I don't think I would have had elsewhere. I can't go a day without drawing. I can't go a day without making something with my hands. And so I don't really have a choice, and I'm just fortunate enough to be able to do that on a massive scale now. But no matter what scale I was doing it on, I would always be an artist, no matter what. I'm Langston Allston. I guess I'm a painter, really. I do murals, I do paintings, I do all types of paintings. If it has paint, it's something I want to do.